of our conversation about the future of work in the context of data and AI driven decision making. So, my first question to our panelists will be about their experience in the same. What have they seen happening in terms of AI and data driven decision making? Any new trends that they have seen, any new trends that they have witnessed or seen in development? So let's look at the landscape of changes that are happening in terms of AI and data driven decision making. So let's start with Hariom.
Thank you. Thank you, Hemant, for having me, first of all, on the panel. And yeah, so the topic is very relevant to the times that we are in at the moment. And I would say that this is the right time to have these discussions because they entail a lot of, discussion at the forefront of it. We see that how AI can, actually transform things, as well as there is a risk associated with it as well. From my personal experience point of view, from my professional journey point of view, we started with the discussion on having these AI into the different segments of business, a decade ago. Since then, Internet of Things has developed in case of manufacturing, where they have implemented all the sensor-based applications to help the human elements or the leaders to make decisions, or I would say data-driven decisions more accurately. So one thing is that these systems have improved the accuracy of decision making, and on the other part of it, it has helped the lean agenda, and it has led to organizations being more proficient, more efficient in their operations. From a top line point of view, and from the current experience at present I'm working, it has significantly impacted the top line growth of companies. For example, in retail as well, there has been a lot of decision which has gone into the product mix that should be presented to a particular customer based upon his customer profile, based upon his ethnicity, based upon the demographics of a particular area. So all these data points, which earlier were very difficult to assess and take a decision upon, and then trying to implement the results of those decisions in the region where it mattered, was not possible. But now, with the advent of the machine learning algorithms and artificial intelligence algorithms which can process huge amounts of data, I think we are in a much better position to take a decision as to place which product in which store at what point in times to generate maximum revenue out of the stores itself. So I think that has transformed the way that we look at data and how we use it in our day-to-day decision making. Yeah. So I think it's a game-changing revolution.
Fantastic, fantastic. As applied to retail, on one side, you have absolutely humongous amount of data, as you have got in real terms, millions of customers making millions of buying decisions. All that data you have, and now what you can do with that data in terms of, for an organization, sky is the limit. And then to translate that into intelligence and utilizing that to further your business can be absolutely a game-changing effort. Fantastic, Hariom. We move on to Nutan. How about your experience and examples that you have seen?
Yeah. So first of all, thanks, Hemant, for inviting me for this very interesting topic of AI and the data decision making that's happening around. Coming from a finance background that I work with, numbers are very critical. So two things that come to my mind immediately when I look at AI and a data-driven decision making. One is about the credit risk assessment. Today, the AI models actually analyze individuals' credit history. They look at even transaction and the behaviors of how the transactions are conducted, and there are many other relevant information. They use this information, I have seen, to determine the credit worthiness. And of course, this is a very helpful tool for lenders to make more accurate lending decisions. Of course, I mean, all this to effectively manage the risk. So where this is one example, I will say, where there is about the analysis. What comes more stronger to me when I look around in the finance domain is portfolio management. Vast amount of data. This data comes from various sources. There are a lot of economic indicators that uh, need to be considered. There are companies financials that needs to be understood. There are market prices that keep changing, and of course, I mean, not to forget the media and the sentiments and the news that goes around when it comes to companies and their performances, so which could be positive or negative. So if you actually look at, as you rightly said, humongous amount of volume of data is available. Today with this AI tools, actually what they do is they aggregate, they integrate this data into a unified format. They have been using historical data to assess risk. Not only that, if you look at it, there are a lot of calculations and matrices that are considered. So when you look at volatility, you look at the beta, you look at the value of risk, value and the risk around. So it's all, the whole game is about, the risk, return, and the risk tolerance and the return expectations of the investors. Now, where I find it more interesting is what has changed around us from a generalized recommendations. Today, because of this use of AI, there are personalized recommendations that can be made to the clients. There are market sentiments that are analyzed, and therefore, in a way, if you look at it, there is expansive use of data, the data that is used to give solutions, not generalized and specific. I think that's something which is a turning point which I see around, specifically from the finance that I come forward. So Hemant, I think these are the two top things that come to my mind prominently when we talk of data and AI.
Fantastic, fantastic. I think moving from retail coming to banking, and even banking has got both the retail as well as the B2B side. So very interesting perspectives we get there, and both conversations that I hear, there is a lot of customer centering effort happening. It's to service the customer better, or of course, for a business, making money is the objective. So how do we make more money from the same customers? Either way, it is useful to have all that data in there, utilized, analyzed to give us the best insight possible. Fantastic. From there, we move on to Srinath. How about your experience and observations?
Yes, Hemant. First of all, thank you again for having me on this panel. It means a lot to share our thoughts here. So, as what we are calling out, AI has been revolutionizing the world that we are on. So much so that about 5 years back, though you said it has been in existence for like about 20 years, about 5 years back, only 10% of the companies were talking about AI. Now, almost 80% of the companies have started talking about AI. So much so that if you look back, as of August 2023, we have close to 7,000 tools that are AI based, which are available on online. So, in a way, if we look back, there are a lot of decisions that gets made now with the help of AI, and some of those that I can think of prominently are in a case where when we do recruitment process, where we are talking about profile filtering for one job role that comes in, we see few hundreds of applications that gets landed. Now, how do somebody screen up these ones and find a way to identify the right candidate which fits the role that we have? Again, spending hours and hours time together, their AI comes in, and we see companies like Amazon revolutionizing it, where they are using it in the recruitment process to screen filter and filter out the profiles and get them shortlisted for the respective job roles. Similarly, we also see in the banking environment where from lending and application processing for loans, we use AI in some of the banks that we know where it is revolutionizing the process to predict whether the customer is having a capability to repay it, whether he has got a credit history that's worthy of it, and an holistic respective lookup in terms of whether the customer has got any kind of a default, not just financial in terms of bank, but the other aspects are also taken into consideration to decide whether a loan application should be given to him or her or not. So there again, we could see that AI is revolutionizing the way it is being done. And similarly, in another example that I can quote, even in performance management, we could see that basis the recommendations that are being given and the inputs of the employee is submitting, we could obviously see AI is making recommendations to the employee of what he or she can be geared upon in terms of their learning path towards the way that they have to progress, depending on what are the areas of improvement that have been recommended and what are the goals that they have progressed. AI is capable of recommending solutions and learning paths which would help them gear up and move in the right direction. So those are some of the areas that we have seen where AI is revolutionizing and changing the way that we're playing the game. That's how I see it.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, both these cases that you have mentioned, there's a lot of data which has traditionally been reviewed by humans. I mean, as early as I would say 10 years ago or a few years ago, people are still going through each CV or each performance appraisal input coming in one by one with human effort, and then the filtering happens. So it's great to have tools, something like an AI, which would be custom built for that purpose and help us reduce the man hours involved. I think more than just reducing effort, what it helps organizations do is come up with a result faster, to do the whole processing faster. And that's where the key is.